Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Genshin Impact. This is by far one of the reasons why this game just stands out amongst a ton of people. It's just the way the lighting hits, and now it's dark and a nightmare. But I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be checking out domains. The brand new 1.5 domains, which to me, I want to stress and try to throw out the information immensely. That 1.5 is seemingly like one of the best times to get into Genshin Impact. What I mean by that is right now the banner that they're rocking, I went up game, I went straight up to Wish. Again, what is happening? This is Wish. Okay, jeez, anyways, this banner is fantastic. I was blown away at how good Eula is, and she is insanely good. Not only that, but if you happen to get jungly along the way, then he's just one of the best supports in the game, and this domain's artifact set cements him in that way. Less of a burst damage character and more of an amplification character of your current DPS. We'll get into that probably in other videos. But Dion's great, Noelle kind of good too, but regardless, just yeah, this is like a really good banner for like beginner characters. You got a main selfish DPS that does a shit ton of damage, as well as got Zhongli, who's a fantastic support and can kind of be a DPS. I digress. But not only that, but one of the things that's been a constant pain in the ass in this game, in terms of building characters in a very specific way for like damage and whatnot, is it's been the gladiator set. So those guys who do not know, if you're just checking it, just getting into the game, or you're curious about like free-to-play advantages, there's this incredibly annoying thing where the only way you could get this special kind of like damage main DPS artifact was by doing your weeklies and to some extent bosses, but it's just not efficient to do that. You have to get a really high world level before the bosses actually consistently start dropping you golds. And yeah, artifact sets are just a nightmare. So this one was like your only selfish DPS artifact set, but yet you couldn't do that. But it was just incredibly hard to flip the coin to even get the opportunity to get one of these. And yeah. But now we have a much better artifact set for physical damage DPSs. It's not to say the gladiator set will be useless, but yeah, the physical damage characters like Razor, anyone, and for those guys who don't know anything about physical damage, there is two types of damage. There's elemental and there's physical. Physical is the white damage number that you do more or less when you're basically hitting outside of catalyst users and other characters. So anyways, physical damage is not elemental damage. If it has like a color to it, then it's elemental. Physical damage is the white dot. A lot of characters can't necessarily use that because they're supports or whatever, but characters that seem like they're going to be really good with physical damage builds are of course characters like Rosaria, and specifically Razor and Eula, and any upcoming physical character that they release down the line. Also, I feel like this is just going to be good with other characters as well, kind of like passive characters, although I will say there's one tiny negative to this artifact set, which kind of does negate this artifact set, or at least one of the artifact sets that's in this domain, which is this one, the Pale Flame artifact set. It buffs up your physical damage, good, but the 4-piece is what takes this thing from being like good to potentially beating out Gladiator, if not completely breaking Gladiator over its back. But in order for it to do that, you need to have an E that recharges within 7 seconds, so that you can build max stacks and amplify the first part of the 2-piece. It's a little complicated, but not that bad. But essentially, you need to have an E that you can constantly keep spamming so that you can reach max stacks, that you can get the maximum amount of physical damage buff from this. So if you have a character that is like, oh, I would like to play them as a physical character, I would like them, they're just base melee to be really good, but their E is like 10 seconds, and it's not going to really be good. You're going to want to go 2-piece physical and 2-piece whatever, probably 2-piece Bloodstain and 2-piece Pale Wind. They're basically just two artifact sets that buff physical damage by a pretty decent amount. And that's kind of going to be everyone else's route in terms of physical damage, which you can build them as 2-piece Bloodset, 2-piece Pale Wind. You should be good. But characters like Razor are really able to utilize the full potential of this, as well as the upcoming and desirable Eula, who's going to be very physical damage based and also just really aesthetic. Yennefer is badass and fun, but Eula's, I'm holding up for her being as cool as I think she is. But regardless, ladies and gentlemen, let's answer the first question of this video, which is this domain hard? No, not at all. And that's kind of why, to me, again, I say this is the best time to get into Genshin, because so many questions and frustrations that we had are at this point pretty resolved. Resin is still kind of a shitty issue, but if you invest enough in housing, could be less shit, but still pretty shit. But yeah, less. But also, one of the struggles in Genshin Impact is getting a main DPS that's solid. Now you can get 2-piece Bloodstain, 2-piece Pale Winds, or if you happen to get Razor or any upcoming physical damage character that has a short E cooldown, you're going to be able to maximize their physical damage, and that will go beyond the 2-piece Pale Wind, 2-piece Bloodstain. Basically, long story short, now you are able to easily build a main DPS carry outside of trying to understand and like mess around with things like Vaporize and stuff like that, which are not too bad. But when you're starting out, you just want to be able to be eligible to participate in the rat race, not necessarily be the best. You're just trying to, you know, play with your friends, evolve, you know, chip away at this over time. So yeah, and this domain is incredibly easy. Essentially, you're going to be fighting 2 giant rock monsters, and they're pretty damn easy to fight. Now, also, we're going to be using my strongest DPS team, which is of course Xiao and the boys. It's basically the boys team. Alright. But yeah, also there's not multiple phases to this domain. It's like super fast. The only thing that you need to do is to be able to kill these 2 rock monsters and or to just deal enough damage, basically, because like, when you're at like max level, they're going to have a shit ton of health, and they're quite resistant. Not only that, but when you're inside this domain, whenever you're wearing a shield, it like reflects their damage or creates feedback in some way. So if you happen to have a shield character, throw them on in this domain, and it should work for you pretty damn well. Other than that, this is a really like doable domain. I missed that hit, really? I will say that's one thing that's frustrating about these huge rock golems, is that they're made of paper, because every single time you melee, they get thrown back 10 feet, and you're like, what? Why is this the thing? But yes, we're just pogoing with our boy Xiao, as we always are. It's just what we do here, and that should be almost enough to kill you. Close, but not quite. Let's do that, and one more hit, and you should be dead. There it is, done, boom. Super fast, by far the fastest domain that I think you can do. Yes, those enemies are somewhat of a pain, but it's not. Well, it depends on what you have, I suppose. That's true, but that's true me in my head. Forgive me. But yes, I only talked about the Pale Wind set, and that's because this one is way more hyper-focused and specific to 2, maybe 3 characters. Hopefully they'll come out with some more down the line that make this set really eligible. But I digress. The Pale Wind, again, is like the first question that you have when you're a free-to-play player is, how can I deal enough damage to even participate or like consistently evolve? And it's incredibly frustrating, especially when you're just starting out. Well, the Pale Wind set can basically set you free, especially if you have any sort of like decent, selfish-ish DPS character. I guess I don't even need to be selfish. Rosario works that she's not incredibly not selfish. I digress. This is your answer for like creating a solid main DPS when you're just starting out. This is one that's also very good, but it's specifically good and kind of weirdly made for a character called Zhongli, as well as any characters that scale off of HP, because you can go 2-piece HP with this and 2-piece something else with another HP thing. Anyways, regardless, what makes this thing insane is it kind of has the Noblesse Oblige, which is another very good support kind of thing. Essentially, Noblesse Oblige, whenever you activate your ult, you get a shit ton of attack just straight out of the cuff for like I think 7 or some seconds. Good, very good. But this one has a different kind of thing, but it's very similar. Whenever your E hits an opponent, it buffs your attack by any nearby party members. Not only that, but it buffs your attack by 20%. That's a 20% attack buff and a 30% shield increase. Shield density strength increase. That's good. So you deal more damage and your shield becomes thicker. Awesome for hitting an E. Now, it only lasts for 3 seconds. Not only that, but this effect can only be triggered once every 0.5 seconds. Now, a character like Zhongli or like Fischl or anything like that, Fischl is going to constantly be able to keep this on uptime, which is why people are saying Fischl and of course Zhongli are the most eligible for this, as well as Albedo. Albedo can also utilize this quite good, but Zhongli kind of gets all the boxes checked because he gets you a shield, and his pillar is specifically on I think a 3-second pulse time. So you're always going to have upkeep on this as long as it damages 1 or some enemies. Yeah, again, with that, the thing that Fischl has over Zhongli is that Oz can just snipe people from afar with his electric and constantly get you this buff as well. But again, she can't give you a shield, right? But I digress. It's still a fantastic support-like ability. Also, were these good? That one's not the worst. Could be better. That one's not that great. That one's pretty rough. But anyways, my luck. That's something that never changes, is just your consistency of having to chuck resin down this domain's throat, because, well, just artifact farming has always been a nightmare. My Hu Tao can tell you that much. It's weird, because sometimes you get really lucky and be like, good, I got this character built. The good news about farming for artifacts, though, that I should give more credit, is that you are eventually going to see a result, as long as you don't devour your results. if that makes any sense. So, one of the things that I was frustrated with is I was like, man, Hu Tao is not, I haven't got like any crit decals ever. Like I got like the ones even, like I'm talking about like your crowns, the ones that are supposed to at least like fully drop with the percentage crit multiplier on them. I got none of that. None of that. And I was like, what the heck's happening? Why is this so shit? Why am I getting so unlucky with this? Let's drop this on them. But I come to level up some of my other characters, and it actually really worked out. You're up top? Yep, you're up top. Alright, let's do one of those. That's also going to boost my damage because I got Albedo rocking that set specifically. Fantastic. We're going to do this to start healing Shao, and we're good. But yeah, when I went to go build another Pyro character, I happened to have a shit ton of the Crimson Witch of Flame artifacts, and I just slapped them on her. And I was like, oh wow, okay, this, like, even though I got super unlucky with not getting the other ones I want specifically for Hu Tao, this benefited me in the future because I had some Crimson Witch when I went to go level up a Pyro character. Unfortunately, that wasn't Yanfi. That was Xingyan, but still, you take what you can get. I mean, I so badly wish I could have leveled up Yanfi. Yanfi seems just so fucking strong and good. Not great. Not a great bit of business. That's okay. If I got crit rate on that or energy recharge on that, that could be huge. But let's keep going. We're just going to keep burning. And this is what I mean, though. This is like this domain. You can just burn through 5 condensed resins like nothing. Honestly, this domain, I honestly would consider just not even condensing my resin because it's just that fast. It's just not not a problem at all. Also, I think I just got the hiccups, which is not good. Ooh, it ruins everything. Done. Easy peasy. Next thing done. What happened? What was that? Why did I get some sort of water spell coming after me? Guys, I keep trying to speak and then I feel like I'm like, oh. It's like someone smacking you in the face every single time you try to say anything. By the way, no, I have not gotten a set that's perfectly like eligible for either of them. I will say I'm getting really lucky with them getting me both at the same time. So I'm always getting one Pale Flame and one of the other sets. And I haven't never gotten double of the single set, which probably is just luck. Ooh, okay, that's not bad. Even HP, at least it's HP percent. Sorry, shit. Actually, it's really good for Zhongli. Oh, it's a crown though, so its attack percentage, yeah, it's less, but still cool. Neat. Could be worse. I'm getting attacked by the hiccups. My 51st second, the breath hold wasn't the greatest. This is, I think, do you guys know I held my breath for 3 minutes? Who would have thought it's possible? It's absolutely possible. You gotta do this weird breathing technique, but you can do it. It's like, what? Jesus, please. Show me the money! But see, again, like it's the same, we're never getting like double up of the one. We're always getting both of the other ones. We're also using condensed resin, so, but usually you get like double of one. Okay, that's actually not the worst. Again, HP without percentage is kind of trash, but crit rate and HP is not bad. Or sorry, HP percentage is not bad, but let's see this. This is this is the one I'm really hoping to get because of Razor. Again, for those guys who don't know, Razor's my favorite character, which is why I'm so hyped for that, but also I want to make a build on Rosaria. But luckily, the thing that's amazing though, guys, is that for almost everybody, physical stuff is the same. High crit rate, high crit damage, or energy recharge, or elemental mastery. If you can get any of those, or even just 1 or 3 or 2 out of the ones I just mentioned in your substats, you're always going to want attack percentage, you're always going to want crit damage or crit rate on the end of it, and you're always going to want the element that they buff, potentially. Or just have a physical damage goblet in that place of that, right? So to me, it's like, that's one benefit of building physical DPSs, is that if you build one, you can kind of just give that set to the other and benefit wholeheartedly from it. So there's also stuff like that, which is just awesome. And yes, that's what I'm hoping to be able to do with Rosaria when I showcase her with the physical damage set, because I already got a really good goblet and all that stuff. But again, you also need artifact experience, which they've also given us within housing. But God in heaven, housing seems like it's going to take a year just to crack at that, just to crack a little bit of that.
Witness my great undertaking.
Get a damage boost, slap on Zhongli's shield and pillar, drop one of these, pow, and then do one of this, do one of this, do one of this. Fuck it, some of that, and this should kill you. 100% should kill you. Yeah. Yeah. Whenever we activate Albedo, we get a bunch of attack buff, which allows, our character just to shred just about everything, so. Good. This is the last run I have. Condensed resin, go. Give me anything. Honestly, I probably have enough to like dabble. To like dabble just a little bit. Not a lot, but something. Yuck. Yuck, that's brutal. Ooh, energy recharge. That actually... I still think it's worth getting a Geo Cup and running everything with this set, but just have a Geo Cup, because the only thing you're missing out on rocking the other set that I'm rocking is the 20% elemental burst damage and the 15% Geo affinity, which is, I think, better because you get 20% attack and 30% shield. So you're taking away the Geo damage and the alt damage for shield and HP, which should give more support capabilities to your other allies, but also take away Zhongli's burst damage, which is the way I have him built right now, is just to be a little cannon. Or be a very tall, gangly cannon, if anything. But I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the new domains. I think they're absolutely fantastic. I think this is like brilliant in the way that they've been progressing with 1.5. We've got substantial content to chip away at with the housing. We got new domains that are basically like at least one of the artifact sets is very, very much, it seems like MiHoYo extending the olive branch to free-to-play players. Not only that, but some domains at endgame are absolute shit. They're like, you're fighting the hardest, not the hardest enemies, but you're fighting like 3 wizards, and they all, their shields refuse to melt, and they'll sprinkle AoE damage all over the ground, so that if you're anywhere near them, you'll die. And it's just a nightmare a lot of times. But with them having this domain, which is, again, it's to me it seems like it's a very, very easy route to get a main DPS now, or a main DPS that scales off of physical damage, which is huge. And also, Razor is a 4-star character. Rosaria is also a 4-star character. So they're going to be able to make use of this very, very well, as well as anyone for that matter. 2-piece Bloodstain, 2-piece Pale Wind should take care of you if you don't have an E that can be spammed, etc. So yeah, and that's kind of, the limiting factor of Pale Wind set. Before we go, let me see if I can try to throw something on Razor and see if I can make him have any sort of bearing on reality in a good way. More or less, no. The only one that I got that's pretty solid is this one. But again, like it's when you get like the perfect artifact and you got like decent substats, but then it just keeps going into like the least good substat, which is Elemental Mastery, which is not bad, but it's just not like crit rate or crit damage. So you're like, I've made it. I've lost the end game. I've lost the end game rolling, but it's still good, still better than a lot of the other things. But alas, ladies and gentlemen, I digress. I cannot wait to make videos where I finally have, again, once you have one artifact set that's decent, good crit rate, good whatever, you can give that to any other DPS that you have, which is why, again, I think the Pale Flame set, at least 2 pieces of it, and 2-piece Bloodstained, could be massive, like huge. And for specific characters that have a short E cooldown, who can build up the stacks to get the benefits of the 4 set or the 4-piece, then that's just going to be amazing. And you can give that to any upcoming character who's a main damage dealer, as well as has a fast attack speed and stuff like that. Again, the reason why Razor's cracked is because of the way his abilities feed into each other. And Rosaria has a very, very short combo ender, so she can just cycle into her next combo again incredibly quickly. And again, Eula is probably going to be all of those things, but also she massively scales with physical damage, and she's all about building up stacks with her E, so you're going to be passively forced to basically get the 4-piece set if you're playing her correctly. So I cannot wait to make videos on Eula, hopefully, if I'm able to get her though. She's far off and we don't know when that's going to be. But Razor, hopefully there's a video coming down the pipeline, as well as Rosaria. Expect those videos down the pipeline as well. This is going to allow me to finally make a video on my favorite character in the game, which is, of course, Razor. I just hope I get lucky enough to get some of the artifacts so that I can truly showcase him to the best of my ability. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Also, to anybody who's sweet enough to like or share the video, appreciate it immensely. It does a lot for me. I appreciate you. And that's basically it. Thank you again, and goodbye.